What's up everybody, this is Ven, and I welcome you to the MOC Spotlight, where we take apart what you build. For today's episode, we'll be taking a trip to Jurassic Park and taking a good look at the Titanosaurus Wrex, created and posted to the message boards by a username Red. No, seriously, it's just Red. Isn't that cool? Now before we get started, let me remind you about my method of reviewing, which involves a point system that is based on 3 fundamental attributes: the overall appearance of the MOC, the build of the MOC itself, and the concept and ideas behind the MOC's creation. Each quality will mount up to 5 points, leading up to a final score that will be determined at the end of the episode, and please remember this is all based on my opinion. Alright, let's get this started. Now look at them big old blue eyes. What we have here, folks, is an adorable gray camel spine cyborg dinosaur looking straight out of Land Before Time in space. Amidst of all the gunmetal plating, the thing that immediately stuck out to me the most should be fairly obvious: the head. With these big blue eyes. Oh, so dreamy. What this MOC really has going for it is the clean silhouette it has, and I feel that the head truly exemplifies that. The shaping is just spot on, like there's nothing sticking out awkwardly, and everything looks natural. It also looks proportionally sound, really rocking that Tyrannosaurus build. Now back to the head, I gotta say, it looks really well thought out. The eyes are pretty unorthodox, but really effective. I noticed that because of the monotonous gunmetal color scheme, this dark blue eye color doesn't really stand out all too much, and it almost kind of blends in. I actually kinda like that. I feel like if it were any other color, it would stick out a bit too much and just be really distracting. That said, in terms of coloration, man, this dinosaur looks boring. It's so dark and gray and really nothing else. But at least the texture looks good, like it's got this armored plating aesthetic going on. You can see that all throughout the body and the legs and even the tail to a small degree, there's some armored plating. There's a lot of parts used here that have that sort of style, and it's just really cool to see that sort of consistency. It gives this dinosaur the really solid cybernetic appearance, kind of like Mechagodzilla or something. Random note, I also thought that the head had this clever design for the jaws, the upper jaw especially, since it's really just a mask flipped in a particular way to form the, the teeth and whatnot. Now, onto the MOC's build. From what I can tell, everything looks to be packed together quite nicely. The legs are a bit concerning, as I can't really tell how well their construction can hold up the MOC in a decent balance. The upper portion, with the big head, tail and all, looks proportionally balanced, so I think it's safe to assume it can take a gust of wind pretty well, especially if the head is light enough. Speaking of which, how the heck did he manage to stick these eyes in here? These were made with simply just these ball pieces issued with Bionicle and Hero Factory sets to be used as launcher ammunition. There's no actual points of connection like an axle hole or anything like that. It's just a small, solid ball. So what kind of sorcery was performed to keep these in place? I hope it's secure enough, otherwise this guy's gonna be going blind every time you try to pick him up. And then there's these arms, which also look prone to popping off randomly. I don't feel that this is the most secure connection, but hey, it's some pretty clever thinking, and it does work. I will say though, that there's quite a good bit of creativity in the build of this MOC overall, but the head truly sells it. It's also worth noting that the MOC doesn't appear to have any built-in functionality or really much articulation. The arms and legs look to be reasonably articulated, and the tail can bend as well, but the whole torso, including the head, looks to be in fixed positions. This Wrexy is going to be looking straight ahead for like the rest of his gunmetal life. Now onto the concepts. This MOC looks to be inspired by the almighty T-Rex, and by that I mean Tyrannosaurus Rex, the king of dinosaurs that lived oh so long ago. What was it, like 65 billion years ago? Anyway, what we have here is apparently not even a Tyrannosaurus. It's a Titanosaurus Rex with a W in front of the Rex part, so it's got its own identity. The most I can say is that it was probably inspired by carnivorous dinosaurs such as the Tyrannosaurus, but I can't say definitively whether it strives to be exactly like one in appearance. This guy looks to be his own thing, and he looks cool. He looks easily recognizable as a dinosaur, so I'd say he fits the name quite well. Except for the technicality where the real Titanosaurus was actually a tall sauropod, but hey, at least the Rex part of the name is there to distinguish the two, right? Right? So, anywho, it's clear to me that the MOC was inspired. It was creatively built with good ideas practically flowing out of the builder's hands into his own parts, and it turned out looking great. I do think it could use a little more flair to really give it its own identity, and maybe give it spikes on the arms or horns or something like that. Something that would make it look a bit more than just a gray cyber dinosaur. Again, the coloration is quite on the bland side, and you really could have played around with some different colors a little bit, and there are other issues I have found with it, but overall, I'd say that the builder's goals were pretty well achieved, just not with flying colors. And, well, I only have 3 pictures to go over, so there's not much else I can say. So, I gotta go ahead and move on to the scores. So in terms of appearance, this MOC receives a 4 out of 5. This MOC has some pretty bland colors, but it does have a neat armored look, with the plating and whatnot. It does look really clean, and the texture with this plating is consistent throughout the MOC. It's a solid looking design, but not exactly the most impressive or eye-catching. In terms of the build, this MOC receives a 3.5 out of 5. It's got a really solid build with some questionable aspects to it, like the balance. I'm not sure if the balance is exactly all that there, and it does seem like it has a couple of loose portions, say with the eyes and the arms, and then there's the lack of functionality and other cool features to really bump up the score a good bit, so it's a little bit better than okay. And in terms of the concept, I give this MOC another 3.5 out of 5. Because it turned out looking really decent. It could look a lot cooler though. I feel like there's room left for a potentially more impressive appearance to make it really distinct and whatnot. But, in the end, for what it is, it's pretty good. And so, with all that said, we are left with a final score. And that final score, once you add it all up, I hope you took your math classes and passed them and whatnot, will come up to an 11 out of 15. I do really like this MOC. It's really charming. And as some of you may already know, I kind of have a soft spot for the dinosaurs and whatnot, so this was definitely interesting for me to look at. But again, I think its biggest downfall is that there's just some untapped potential for this MOC to really stick out, because as it stands right now, it doesn't really seem to have much of its own roar or anything. It doesn't do much. But nonetheless, great job, Red. Congrats for making it onto the MOC Spotlight, and I do hope to see more out of you. And I do hope to see more out of you viewers. So please, post your own LEGO creations to our message boards at board.ttppodcast.com and check out the LEGO creations category, because that is where you may post your own creations, which I strongly advocate. Post your own creations. I'm going to keep repeating it until you frickin' do it. So just go, do it, be creative. And if I deem your creation to be interesting enough or creative enough or just, really cool to look at, I will throw it up on a future MOC Spotlight. So, till then, I will see you on the message boards. And if not, I'll see you all next time.